Welcome back to Access Co-Leaders Career Conversations. I'm Eileen. I get to co-host this session with our incredible students from Tacony Academy Charter High School. Our guest today is Nick Wryter, who is the Principal Product Manager at Microsoft. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Hi, Eileen. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Can you tell us in the simplest way how to explain what you do as a Principal Product Manager at Microsoft?
Simplest way. Well, working with products is never so simple, but I think the simplest way I could put it is, have you ever had an idea to create something online, right? Or anywhere? Well, I get to basically design that with ones and zeros, basically with, code and with basically getting a design from start to finish for how people are going to use that thing that you thought about. So that's what I get to do. I work within Microsoft security, and I work on identity specifically.
Whoa. Okay. So ones and zeros, it all comes together to a product that somebody's asked for that you get to design.
Well, that's actually not true. I think it's usually Microsoft, we have to design what people haven't even thought about. I'll give a perfect example. Today, most of you might have something called the multi-factor authentication, right? So when you try to log in, you get prompted with this phone number, or on your phone, there's an app and you hit this button that scans your face doing facial detection. Well, we built that, right? We have to think through that whole end-to-end use case to build that, right? So that's what I get to do. That's part of our mission.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible, Nick. Okay, so tell us, where did you grow up and where are you based now?
Great. I was initially born in Ghana. So my parents are both Ghanaian. My mom basically immigrated to the US when I was about 13. My dad is an eye surgeon. He used to work for the American Red Cross. That's how I came to America.
Awesome. And then
now, I guess you asked where am I now? I'm in Virginia. I live in Burke, Virginia.
So right out in the DC area.
DC.
How many brothers and sisters do you have, and where do you fall in that line?
I have 2 brothers and 1 sister, and I'm second born.
That's right. I remember how important family is to you. So before we go back to that, in middle school and high school, what kept you busy? What were you doing?
Well, for anybody that comes from an immigrant family like mine, in middle school, I was just coming to the US. So I was in boarding schools in Ghana. Actually, I wasn't in Ghana. I think I was probably somewhere in like Cameroon, because my dad is an American Red Cross surgeon. We moved around little places in Africa. And I think we were just immigrating to the US when I was, in middle school. So that was actually a shock for me. But I mean, obviously I was in boarding school all my life. We went to all the private schools because my dad just wanted us to, study and stuff like that.
Awesome. So were you involved in sports, in clubs, in music? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I played some sports. I played soccer. I play striker. And I played some football, but I'm more of a geek. So I was always, even though I played sports, I was always like watching anime or like, I don't know, playing a lot of video games. That's what I do.
Okay. So because Nick and I go way back, we have known each other for several years here now. I can see how you were involved. You're a self-proclaimed geek, liked all the techie things, but you did play sports and you had, a lot of friends, and you had to figure out how to shift from being in Ghana in boarding school to being in the US in, starting middle school and going into high school. How does all of that, the social aspect and having to shift your life, have to do with what you're doing nowadays, working with people and discovering and coming up with some new things with Microsoft?
Yeah, so I had to be pretty resilient when I came in, right? So I was a pretty awkward kid, I would like to say, a sheltered kid. Like my parents didn't let us do much when we came to the US. I actually grew up in PG County. So if you know anything about PG County, Maryland, it's an area that it's not the best neighborhoods. And so my mom was okay with us playing video games because he kept us in the house, right? But what it did was it actually taught me a little bit of a way to interact with people. So I had to like watch and observe people, right? That's one. And I think, as an awkward kid who doesn't have the friends and would get teased or whatever in middle school or high school, one of the ways that I coped with it was through video games. And I actually still have some of those video game friends till today. Like I've actually met them. I've flown across the nation to go meet with them. And even though I couldn't connect with people face to face because I was just new and awkward. I found a way to do it through the internet, is what I would say.
Safely. You did it safely. Relate
Safely,
to
safely, safely, safely.
I am on the screen now with our students from Tacony, and I've had several opportunities to meet with some of the other students from Tacony. So I do relate to that, being able to be on the other side of the screen and seeing people in person. So
Yeah.
that said, I want to go ahead and hand it over to the students and have them interview you with a couple questions. Let's start off with Ayana. I saw you nodding your head. You know a little bit about Prince George's County. What's your first question for Nick?
My first question for Nick is I noticed that you went to Coppin State. How do you feel like that shaped you to who you are today? Like what helped, like what specifically at Coppin helped you form into the person you are today?
What a great question. So I went to Coppin State, and I actually intentionally chose Coppin State simply because one, I got a free ride, even though I bombed it. But I went to school for mathematics, and so I got a scholarship going there, and it was one of the cheapest place I could go to school. So I was like, they're going to pay for me to go to school. I don't have any debt, and I'm doing mathematics. They had a really great science and tech program, and they have a very, very prestige nursing program at Coppin State. So it's like most people don't know about those things, but when you actually start going to the schools, like you start recognizing what people are known for. So if you look across the portfolio of people that graduated from Coppin, there are a lot of me's out there in the regular world because their science and tech programs are good, great, and especially nursing. Like if you just want to up and do nursing, they have a great, fantastic nursing, and you get to actually work at Johns Hopkins, which lots of nurses don't get that exposure to. Johns Hopkins is known for their doctors. So Ayana, that's what I'll say about. That's why I chose it. The teachers were fantastic, and if you know anything about HBCUs, I feel like there's a pride to it. So the professors, they didn't let me slack, even though come when I was almost after my sophomore year of college, I had to my life changed a little bit. I'll just put it that way.
I think we saw you join the military and then you took off in your career. I'll let the other students come up with some questions about that, but they did see that in your bio. Let's go to Blake. What's your first question?
Okay. I would like to know, how would the media that you had induced best benefited you, and what specific media?
Media. Okay, well, I'll say this. When I was younger, I was always glued to like I like robotics. It's probably very weird. I was always glued to mathematics. So media always found like articles that were talking about what's coming up next, what's up in technology, what are some things that people are working on that kind of blows our mind. So I think back in when I was in college in 2006, that's when they were talking about this whole artificial intelligence stuff. Everybody was like, oh, that might be it. But I already knew that artificial intelligence existed in 2006. So today, when I hear about the implementation of AI, I'm not shocked because I was glued into the media of what people were thinking of. And they have these pockets in these communities. If you find like a safe article to follow, you can absolutely find those things online today. And with the speed of AI, that's just a ChatGPT search away. Is what I'd say with media.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, let's go to Genevieve. Your first question.
So was this career always your first choice growing up?
No, it wasn't. I wanted to be a pilot when I was a kid. In all honesty, it wasn't. And the way that I feel like it changed was a few things, right? Obviously, I was one of the folks that joined the military. And in the military, I did something called combat engineer. Basically, a simple way to say that is some people in the military who, if you need to clear a road, so if you need to get from point A to point B and that road has a bunch of stuff on it and you want to clear it, we're the guys they sent in to clear that, right? That's what I did in the military. So it had nothing to do with what I do now. However, I believe my upbringing and basically being around certain types of people and environments and just my work ethic is what changed where I wanted to be. Because when I went to school for mathematics and I wanted to go into finance. I liked money. So I was like, let me go into finance and try to make some money. Maybe I can get to, the New York Stock Exchange so I can make baller money. But then someone was like, hey, do you kind of want to work and do the system admins thing? And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? And because of my background in the military, and I had like something they call security clearance, when you actually are trusted with national security documents, I was like, okay, I'll do this thing. And that transitioned into, okay, I'm starting to work with computers. I'm starting to work with people. And my first job was really to identify and make sure you are who you say you are, right? To prove that you are who you say you are. And what I did was I actually took that and said, I actually care about the identity of people because identity is something no one can take away. Like your identity, Genevieve, is your identity. Nobody can take that away from you. And so when you think about that and you think about what you want to do, those things come and kind of start matching together. And that's a passionate part of my life. Like, I mean, I think Eileen can tell you more and more of our story, but one of my biggest passions is making sure people like yourselves or anyone that I meet get to know that you are who you say you are. And it's because you were created that way. Like, no one can take that away from you. Like, nobody. Right. So I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, Nick, I love that you described how you had that conversation by accident, right? Like, sure, I'll do that job, sure, and it turned out to be something that worked out for you. What we're doing with Access Co is having those conversations on purpose. So thanks for being here, being a guest, and sharing our story. Let's go to Max. Max, what is your first question?
During your school years, what would you say your biggest motivation was growing up, and would you say it shaped for who you are today?
I was lazy, Max. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was lazy. When I say with the Y, lazy. If I'm not just laying around, not doing anything, just playing video games, I didn't want to hear it. But I did have a knack, and I had a work ethic. So my mom always would say this crazy phrase, and it's not left me yet. She was like, "I'm okay with you complaining as long as you don't quit." So what I mean by that is, like, obviously you can complain about the things that you want to do or not want to do, but if you quit, that's not the right place to start, right? And you know, I followed this lady. She always also says this thing. She said, it's never too late to begin again. So even if you start something and it sucks, it's never too late to begin again. And I've made that the mantra of my life. And that causes me to like work hard and figure it out, even if I bomb it. Like, even if I just go in and just like, man, you totally like sucked at this. It's never too late to begin again. And it's okay to complain as long as you don't quit. That's been my thing.
Thanks, Nick. You just made me feel a lot better about, I do have some criticisms. I do have a certain standard. I'm not complaining just to complain, but I'm not going to quit either. So appreciate that wisdom. All right, Veronica, what do you have for Nick?
You mentioned that when you were younger, you like were focused on like anime and video games, and that your passion is to make sure like you say who you are. Do you think that motivates your position in Microsoft right now?
Oh, 100%. Like I am myself. And I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm like a character. Like I feel like I'm just anime character, even though I hold like a high level position in Microsoft doing things. I still am the same guy. Like I show up like this on stage when I'm presenting them on products. And I think I picked that up from watching anime 100%. But I would say, obviously, it needs some polish and you need to be able to be comfortable in who you are. And when you become comfortable in who you are, the way that you express it just comes out naturally. I don't have to fake it. This is me. Like Eileen knows this. Like she knows exactly who I am. I am me everywhere. And I don't apologize for it, but I think you shape it and you figure out, okay, in which environment, how do you actually operate? And then you just, move forward with who you are, but just don't change who you are. And I think, again, my past shaped my character and my quirks.
And you're still successful. So no matter how big, capital L and capital Y lazy you were just out living your best life and you are still successful. You are a father, a husband, and doing big things with Microsoft. So we are grateful that you are here with us today. Let's invite Anna for your first question with Nick.
Do you believe that AI is an issue when it comes to like creating advances in technology, or do you think like it benefits you in some type of way?
What a great question. And I actually am so passionate about the question you just asked that I sit on a board at Microsoft to make sure we don't do anything crazy and do the things that make everyone feels like icky about artificial intelligence. So I'll answer your question. I'm not trying to like dodge it. Just answer your question. I think everything has a purpose, especially tools, right? And especially people, us as humans, we are created with a purpose and for a specific reason. So think of artificial intelligence today as a tool that you have. If I have a hammer and I have a nail, I can use that hammer to, use the nail if I'm building, a house or if I'm doing something. I believe there's scarcity, like people are worried about AI because yes, it poses a threat of replacing some maybe mundane type jobs, like, I don't know, summarizing certain things or like being an executive assistant for helping you with that. But I believe this. I believe if you're not learning to use the tool, then you will not you'll not really understand what the tool was meant to do or what the tool was meant to actually help you with. And I feel like that's the space and tension that we live with, because everything could be scary. Like you can look at it and say, the internet is scary today, but does that stop you from using it? It's a tool, right? Like you can go on the internet to do certain things, but are you on the flip side of the coin is, are there bad guys on the internet? They're trying to do stuff to intentionally make it malicious and unsafe for you. Absolutely. The same thing happens with AI, right? There are things about it that you can think about it in a negative way that would say, well, I don't know if it's really good for humanity or for you. In all honesty, I believe it's just a tool. It's just another buzzword in my world. That's what I like to call it.
Thank you for bringing up that point about AI that like, hey, it's out there and you should probably try to start using it if you're not already. If not, then it's a hammer and a nail and it's a resource and it's a tool. So thank you for that. And Vanessa and I are smiling because every session AI comes up and we appreciate the honesty about AI. So let's go. Who's next? Anaya.
I wanted to know, what did you do to help you continue going in life? Like, what was your motivation?
So remember I talked a little bit about identity. It wasn't until I found identity in God that my life changed. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I have had a lot of fun when I was younger. I've done lots of things. I like to call them like stupid things in many ways, but I would say not until I actually got to a place where I said, oh man, enough is enough. I can't do this life thing by myself. And on the way that it came up was, it was very simple. I went to church and I just knew. I don't know what it was. I just knew like God encountered me in the way that I need to be encountered. And I believe if you go looking and he wants to encounter you, he will. That's how it came for me. It was very natural. I didn't have to try to go anywhere. It was like, I don't have to do anything for it. It was just like, I just got encountered. And it came from a whisper from someone who's like, hey, I think you should just go to church, while I was like in the clubs, like living my best life.
That's right. That's life. Thank you for sharing that faith was a big pivot and a milestone for you in the trajectory in your career and you personally. What did you learn in those challenges and the good times and the living your best life? What lessons did you learn in that season of your life that you apply to today?
Yeah, I would say things happen in our lives not because there's somebody who has faith or not have faith. Like we just live in a world where people are going to be people. In my experiences, what I've learned is they're kind people, they're unkind people. They're nice people, they're not so nice people. Who am I going to be in that space is the biggest question that I think I needed to answer for myself. And in that space, I was not living as Nick. I was living I was covering as somebody who I wasn't, because I wanted to impress those people around me. I wanted to do things to be liked. I wanted to fit in because I was this awkward kid. Remember I told you about that? Like I was just awkward kid. So I was always doing things to kind of fit in. And what I learned was it became very tiring to do those things. And not until I got to a place of saying, okay, enough is enough. I can't do this faking anymore. If you're going to like me, fine. If you're not going to like me, fine. Like we'll figure this out. That's when I saw things actually change, because I was able to walk in who I was created to be and who I am. And that basically I could see the change. And I'm not to say even the bad times, I would say this, I was still who I was in the bad times. Like I still knew Nick was still in here somewhere, even though it felt like yucky and like I was struggling with, finding a place to live and stuff like that. Like it was just, I was still me, right? Like it wasn't like I was not me. I was still me, right? So
thank you, Nick, for sharing that time of your life. And I still think you're a cool dude. So this is why we were friends for as long as we have been. Even the awkward geek growing up could still be the really coolest dude out there. We're coming back to you, Ayana. What's your next question?
My next question is, can you tell us about what Smart Card Alliance is and why you're a part of it?
Smart Card Alliance is how about this? Do you have a credit card, Ayana? Awesome. So the little chip that's on the credit card? It's called an intricate circuit. Okay, here comes the geek Nick coming out. I'll explain it. It's basically a bunch of people that sit together, and all the thing that happens with that intricate circuit is basically a mini computer. It charges when it touches a reader. The reader is basically, if you swipe your card or you insert it anywhere, right? It basically shocks it to life. And that within those couple of seconds, there's actually communication happening with that microchip. So there's a bunch of people that talk about how do we make this safe so that nobody can spoof it, and what kind of cryptographic algorithms that we can put on it. Basically a huge password that nobody can decrypt or break. That's simple terms. That's what happens. I sit on a board that basically makes sure that's safe for you and the whole world to use. That's what that is.
Well, we appreciate that, Nick, because now we just tap our phones, tap our watch on things, and you're technology makes that happen. So thank you.
That's
Makes it
it.
happen safely. All right, let's go to
Safely.
right. Let's go back to Blake. What do you have for Nick?
Considering your background, what would you say was your biggest difficulty of growing up?
I would say my biggest difficulty was myself. Like, if every time I think about that reflection point, I'm like, if I could just get out of my own way and just like, I would have avoided so many hurdles. And the thing that I learned after going through the stuff that I went through, Blake, was you have to be quick to listen, man. Like, people say things to you, you got to be quick to listen and actually, do what they say and seek out people who are looking out for you or people who are intentional in your life, and get away from the people that are not intentional. You're like always trying to knock on their door and they're just like, I don't have time for you type deal. Like, if you're quick to listen and actually take into effect what people say and get out of your own way, I think that's the one thing that I'd do. Like, if I was reflecting, that's what I'd say.
Awesome question. Thank you. Thank you, Blake, for asking that. Right. Let's go back to Genevieve.
So, how were you able to balance your personal life from your work life?
That's still a struggle, Genevieve. I'm not gonna, it's very hard, right? Because I work from home. My wife basically made a decision to take care of the kids because I have young kids. They're like 5 and 8, wonderful kids. But you need someone to like help bring them up before they get into school, etc. And work-life balance is very difficult to do, especially if you're in a demanding position like mine. Like Microsoft, like if the world goes off, if you can't use your credit card to buy something, or if you can't prove that you are who you say you are, people are losing money, and that causes the whole world to stop and go, what's going on? So even though that's important, it's all about the people that you have in your life, Genevieve. And I'll say this, I struggle in that area of work-life balance. But things that I like to do, my wife doesn't really approve of it, but I'm just like, I'm waiting for the next vacation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking forward to the next. And I know my next vacation right now, I've been working like a lot, is going to be coming up in April, like the last week of March and April. I'm taking 2 weeks off. I'm going to hang out with the kids and taking them to New York. We're going to do some fun things. So I'm looking forward to that. That's how I kind of weigh it, even though I think it's not the best approach.
Hey, Nick, we're all learning every day, and you didn't say that you're sitting around just playing video games. So appreciate that you're out there with your family. Great question, Genevieve.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to Max.
What was the most important lesson you learned in Microsoft?
I think the most important lesson I learned in Microsoft is, I'll say this, is what I talked about, identity. Like, no one can take that away from you. We live in a world of Microsoft where there's a lot of layoffs happening. So that's a reality that's happening. A lot of organizations, people have spent like 20 years or more working here at Microsoft. And so that becomes, some people look at that and that becomes part of them. They find their identity in the work that they do. A wise person once told me, we are human beings, not human doings. A human being is who you are. Nobody can take you away. A human doing is what you actually say you want to do. And so, like, Max, what I would say is my biggest lesson is, like, no matter which path you take, don't allow whatever you do to become who you are or your being. So don't be a human doing, be a human being, is what I'll say.
There you go. That's good. That's good. All right, Veronica, back to you.
I feel like I didn't really have another question besides your experience at boarding school, because sometimes schools like that could really impact how you view life socially.
The world. Yeah. I mean, Veronica, that's what made me kind of like socially awkward, because I was like, you're shipped away from your parents. And if you watch any movies, Veronica, it's like going to boarding school is like the biggest punishment ever. Well, in other parts of the world, it's not that big of a shock. Like, that's a very normal thing. Like in the UK, that's a very normal thing. People grow up going to boarding schools, and it's like a thing that people do. And so in that part of the world, it wasn't super shocking for me. However, it did make me kind of awkward because I didn't know how to act when I moved from that realm to the United States, where that's not normal. Like, going to boarding school is not normal here. So, and again, that's what kind of made me resilient, because it's like I had to like learn to be in that world, learn to be in this world, and then figure out what's my path going to look like. Veronica, that's what I'd say. Great question.
Yeah,
It made me go back.
Well, let me tell you, you still got a couple more students to interview you, and then we're going to flip the script. So let's get back to Anna. Anna, what's your next question?
My next question is, what is some advice you have for young adults going into college who want to be in the STEM field?
Yeah. So my biggest thing, advice for anyone that wants to be in the STEM field is, there's so many resources out there. So many. Like, what can you do now that's going to actually propel you for the future? I'll give you an example. If you're interested in a specific topic like artificial intelligence, or if you just like data, So you just want to do data analytics, or if you just want to do security, you want to make sure people are not hacked. There's so many resources out there. All you have to do is a Google search or a chat search away. You can learn all about that now. You can get some certifications. You can get all of those things. There are programs at Microsoft today. You can look it up. If you're younger and you weren't going to college, you can basically go to take a certification for free. And that's something I'm happy to help you guys with. Like if anybody wants to do that, happy to figure out what that path is for you to learn a little bit more, or just get certified in an area that you're just getting what I like to call just elementary or just very basic information about, just to see if you like it or not. And you just get a cert. Just because you did a program and you took some tests, and I give you a voucher to go take the test, you pass it, you got something on your belt now. So when you go into that STEM field, you're not only starting from ground zero, you start having other things. So that's
super practical. That's such good wisdom there, Nick. Thank you. All right, Anaya, you're up.
I wanted to ask, what is one goal or something that you kept in your mind that you wanted to accomplish while growing up? Like a rule you set for yourself.
I think it goes to what my mom was saying. Just never quit. I'm just not a quitter, man. Like Anaya, one thing that I've kept very in the back of my mind is, look, there might be things that I'm good at. There might be things I'm not good at. As long as you do your best and you show up, like presence is everything. Show up and do your best. I've always done that in any space that I am in. And I'm passionate about certain things. Just show up and do your best, and just don't quit, and just don't like give up. That's what I'd say.
Don't give up. All right. Well, I do know we're going to flip the script here a little bit. We've got Anaya. She just asked that brilliant question. And speaking of asking questions, Anaya is interested in being an occupational therapist, or maybe even in psychology, because she loves her family and she wants to learn more about some of the behaviors from her younger cousins and how she can be involved in that. Anaya, why don't you share with Nick a little bit what you would like to do? She's in the 10th grade and already has a direction of where she wants to go.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, I usually babysit my younger cousins and my younger sibling who has autism, and I started to realize the more I babysat them that their minds and the way they work are completely different compared to us, which is something people usually know, but they work in a way where they actually tend to be smarter, and they do things and act in ways that other people don't when it comes to numbers, letters, reading, just anything in general. So, I've been wanting to learn the way that their mind works, and it's just something I've always been interested in.
That's so great. There definitely needs to be more people thinking about those things, because when I interact with my kids, I don't even think about that. Like I'm just like, get up and go do this, or go do Y, or come on. So yeah, I'm glad that there are people that do stuff like this, because I really believe there's so much. That is so good. My brain doesn't work that way, Anaya. So when I hear people who actually have a passion for this, I'm like, thank you. Thank you for somebody thinking about that. So that's awesome.
Yes, yes. And another student, Ayana, is also interested in helping people. And you kind of brought it up, Nick, in your alma mater and in undergrad in nursing. So Ayana is interested in nursing. She's in the 12th grade. So Nick, do you have any encouragement or wisdom to share with Ayana? And especially with that undergrad connection and a school that's really focused on nursing.
I have some input on copy.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and share.
What's your input? I want to hear now.
I really do love copying. Every time I visit, I sit and with the president, we probably talk for maybe an hour or two. Like I have a good relationship with him. But on the other hand, their communication, it could get better. Their nursing program is pre-nursing. I don't like competition when it comes to college, because I feel as though that I work so hard, like all my accomplishments added up, that I already worked hard enough, and I feel like if it's not direct entry, I don't want it, because I shouldn't have to prove myself to more people day to day. After I understand that's how it is in life, but I don't want to compete for a nursing program and I don't have to secure a spot. I'm not sure about that. It's a good school. I really like the school.
Yeah, this is what I'll say. Look, I mean, I think you basically have heard this from lots of different people. Like you even mentioned, that's how life is. That's not. Look, I would say this is a obstacle that will continuously come up in different ways in your life. Like it's just what it is, right? And I'm a firm believer that the obstacle is actually the way. So what do I mean by that? I believe you standing up and say, I don't want to compete for this and that there might be a way that you're paving there. However, my encouragement to you is do it. What's wrong with just doing it versus you doing it, right? Whether you do it or you don't do it, what do you lose in that? Do you want to go be in the nursing program? Do you want to enjoy, what they have to offer? Like, what do you have to lose? Is my main question I'll ask for you to ponder, right?
That's good. That's good.
So
No,
to add, they remember I called and I talked to the president. I went up there formally and talked to him, and he said he'd send out my financial aid letter before I made my final decision, and that I was telling him what the other option was for school, and he has yet to send it. So I don't think I want to dib and dabble in that. It's a really good school. Like, I'm not sure about everything
yeah,
they
no
have
worries.
going on, but yeah.
Yeah. Look, my encouragement is, look, I go back to my two things, right? Just don't quit on it. Keep it
Don't
open.
quit.
Keep that option
That's
open.
good.
Don't quit.
And you know what, Ayana? I love the confidence that you have in what you're walking through and being able to see an opportunity in a network to share with somebody and being able to articulate that so well. So good for you, Ayana. It's your senior year and this is your next step. So that is important. So thank you for sharing that
Yeah.
and that you had this opportunity. Blake, you're next. Nick, Blake is our senior, another one of our seniors. He has 3 different universities that he's considering. Blake, why don't you share with Nick some of your decision points or what's next for you?
So for my decision points, my main things would be extracurriculars, the actual programs that I applied for, as well as the financial aid that they have given me. For life after school, it would just be pushing forward with business or just freelance.
No, you're
My
good. You're good, Blake.
my my colleges would be that of Albright, Newman,
Mm-hmm.
and Temple.
Awesome. Yeah, that's all great choices.
Yeah, Nick, if you were a senior at this point,
Mm-hmm.
right, like Blake, how and he has 6 weeks to make this decision. Do you have any encouragement or some wisdom to share with him as he comes up to these decision-making timeline?
Yeah, I'll just say, Blake, I mean, just look at the options that are in front of you, right? Especially if the school is providing what you need as a basic necessity, is what I like to call it. That's one of the reasons why I chose Coppin. I got a free ride. I didn't have to have student loans for, that people accumulate, and I can still get the education. Yes, that's a good decision. You want to think about and say, okay, I like this part, I don't like this part, and then just weigh your pros and cons. I mean, that's just basic encouragement I'll give you. Weigh your pros and cons. However, do you actually see who you are in some of those schools? I think that's a good research that you could also do for yourself. Remember, I told you, never put your identity away. Like, that is who you've been God has created you to be a person. Make sure that's very true to who you are. And then when you visit those schools, just try to get a sense of what that looks like. That's what I'd say.
Oh, I like that. Do you see yourself there? That's super important. Good, very practical. And then we have Genevieve. So, Genevieve, why don't you share a little bit with Nick what you would like to do when you're done with high school and see if Nick has any wisdom or encouragement to share with you?
So after high school, I plan on going for my nursing degree. I'm more focused in the medical field.
Yeah.
I want to be a labor and delivery nurse.
That is awesome. Genevieve, look, I think that's so great. My sister's a nurse. My dad's a doctor, as I told you. I've always grown around like medical professionals. I just can't do it. I just can't. But I would say my encouragement for you, Genevieve, especially as you're looking to do this in the next step is, I think being a nurse always comes from a place of care. And it's very, very easy for you to not care for yourself. My encouragement is in the same way you want to care for others, especially a newborn, a new child, there has to be a passion about you that speaks that language to why you want to do that. Can you find that in yourself is what I would say. What is it about, being part of the people that deliver new babies? And you just put it to, okay, what is it about me that is about like newness that I can actually hone in on? Because that's who you are. Like, I can see even the way you talk. Like, I can see like you encourage me to be a little bit more gentler, because I could tell like you're just very like calm, and that's what babies need. That's who you are, right? So my encouragement is, how do you find that in yourself, and how do you give grace to yourself in those areas where sometimes you might not be like that for your own self? You're good for other people, but not for your own self. So that's what I'll say. I can tell. You're vibing. I can
That's
tell. I
good.
can tell like she's like that.
Good encouragement, Nick. I'm going to hop over to another senior so we can spend a minute or two with Veronica. Veronica's she's graduating this year and has some specific ideas on what she wants to do in the next couple of months after she graduates. Veronica, why don't you share with Nick what you plan on doing?
After high school, I'm either planning to go directly into carpentry or taking a small break just to live out my life a little bit. I don't really agree with the idea of going straight into schooling after high school, simply because it's a huge idea, and I'm gonna be honest, it's for financial reasons too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get it.
that's why I'm interested in carpentry. I'm really good with working with my hands, and I like being able to like visually see and feel the things that way.
Well, that's great. I'll say this, Veronica. Like, look, if you already know this, carpentry is also a trade school, right? Something that you can absolutely grow and build a business around. So be encouraged to push through that. But then, what about some areas that maybe you can put your hands to that you haven't explored yet? So even though the option you're like, yeah, that's not what I kind of want to do. Have you knocked on that door before to say what would it actually look like if I were to go to college? Like, I mean, have you explored that, or you just are saying I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to explore that? My encouragement is if you haven't, and you don't have to answer that right with me. If you haven't, like sometimes there's some doors that you might be like quickly peek in. You just peek, right? You don't have to go inside. You just quickly like peekaboo and close it because that's not something you want to do because you want to use your hands. But there, and I'll also encourage you in this way. In the era of AI, like one of the really cool things to do is to be in trade because people are still going to want nice and beautiful chairs and they want all the decorations in their house to look great. So I encourage you, please press into that, but don't be scared to open that door, right? Like I feel like because and financial reasons can be a big thing, but you never know. Like it could easily be an opportunity for you. So that's my encouragement for you.
Love that perspective. Just open the door real quick, take a peek, and keep it moving. So that's a great encouragement for you. Let's do a little shifting here. Max, we had to fly through this conversation. What did you pick up today from our session with Nick?
To be honest, Nick is like someone I can really connect to, especially during his school years. His description basically is one-to-one. But to be honest, the fact that I have like a motivation to just keep pushing on to try and be a vet, which is something that's really complicated when it comes down to thinking about where you want to go, what type of like medical you want to do. But to be honest, I'm just really trying to just push through and figure it out along the way.
Yeah, take Mama Writer's advice. Just you can complain all you want, don't quit.
That's it.
Max, I did see you, really nodding your head and really enjoying Nick sharing about his younger years living his best life. So I could see you guys hanging with the same kinds of crowds there. But again, you're having these conversations on purpose. So we're going to keep you, on the right track, just like Nick, very successful. Anna, what about you? What did you pick up in our conversation today?
Actually, I would say this is probably one of my favorite ones I've done so far because he deals with things that like our generation like deals with, like internet and like new technology and stuff like that. And he also has like a very bubbly personality, but also is very honest, which I also really respect that as well. I very cherish that, and especially the people I talk to. So I'd say that this was probably one of my favorite ones I've done so far.
Look, I can't even make that up. I can't make that up. All right, I see
You're
Mr.
wearing that
Smith.
Philly jersey though. I don't like that, but it's all good.
I'll let you
Who do
go.
you like?
He doesn't want to say it, but we can't see that far in your background, but he did grow up in Maryland. And I think that background is a little purple, so you can choose a team there. It's another bird. All right, Mr. Smith, we do have a couple minutes here. We're coming to the end of your academic year with our Tacony students. What have you seen with the variety of guests that you're having, especially somebody like Nick that is so relatable to our students today?
I'm always impressed with the guests that we have on, but I will say Nick brings the personality, brings the honesty, and I'd like to say the motivation as well. A lot of times we'll hear people like, oh yeah, I was very studious in school. Nick's like, I was lazy, but I still kept going. And I appreciate, like, I was a slacker in high school. I was procrastinated because the pressure of procrastination was what I needed to motivate me to get stuff done. I would never admit this to my students normally, but But I also learned that I could only do that to a point, and then the time management thing became critical because of making sure I had enough time to actually get done what I needed to get done. So I appreciate I'm okay with you complaining as long as you don't quit from Mama Writer. That's awesome. And I also like the fact that you found your identity in your way and on your terms and your time and aren't afraid to embrace and talk about that. I think is huge. Because sometimes people are afraid to talk about their own religious experiences because they're afraid that they're going to be off-putting and things like that. But it wasn't like you were trying to exclude. It was like this was your personal journey. And I appreciate your honesty and your willingness to explain this.
That's good, Mr. Smith. Nick, we're down to our last minute. If you have any final words of encouragement or wisdom for our students at Tacony.
Seniors, find me on LinkedIn. If your LinkedIn sucks, I'm going to actually tell you to improve it. Find me on LinkedIn. Ayana is already steps ahead. Like, she already pinged me on LinkedIn. I could tell. Okay, seniors, yeah. And if there's anything I can do to give back, please just let me know. Especially those who are passionate about tech. Like, I have so many resources, I can't even imagine. I just want to give them all away. And there are definitely things that I might be able to have access to that I can make available for you as well. So let me know how I can help you grow, and let me know how I can make you be the best you, because there's only one of you and you have to be the best version of that person whenever you show up. That's what I'll say.
What a huge gift for our class at Tacony. Nick, remind us, what is that website, your .com of your company?
Well, that's a side project. We're not gonna do the .com just yet. It's just a side project. It's not built yet. I'm still working on it, but
Right
yeah,
on.
I'll share it later. Just
Awesome.
add me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, we'll find you on LinkedIn. But in the meantime, Nick Wryter, the Principal Product Manager at Microsoft, thank you so much for being a guest, and our student co-host from Tacony, including Anna Marie, or Anna, Genevieve, Anaya, Ayana, Max, Veronica, and Blake, and of course, Mr. Smith. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time on Access Co-Leaders.
Bye-bye.